Well, hey there, everybody. Welcome back. Welcome to another edition of Career Fox TV. I'm Nancy Fox, the Career Fox, and on this channel, we talk about you creating a lucrative, prosperous career doing exactly what you love. Now, today's topic is pretty much a hot button topic, and for those of you who are in job search, career change, the topic today is ageism in the process of job searching or career changing. And I've watched a lot of videos about this topic, and I really did a lot of studying about this before I decided to do today's video. The reason it's such a hot button topic, and the reason I know that is because about a year ago, I wrote an article on LinkedIn and it went viral, and it was all about the shame in America, about all of the ageism that was really sort of tossing all the 50-plussers out of the job market, out of the career market. And then about 2 weeks ago, I did another posting on LinkedIn about ageism in the workplace, and it also went viral. And so I know that this is a huge hot button topic for so many folks. And of course, I've experienced it myself. And so I have a lot to share with you today, and what I want to give you today is I want to give you the truth. I want to give you the good news and the bad news, and what you can do about it that's realistic, but also not only realistic but uplifting. So that's my game plan for today. So first, I want to talk a little bit about how ageism actually began, because in decades past, people who were seniors and more experienced and they had more seniority and they were more veterans in companies were revered. They were elevated, they were respected, they were paid more, people wanted to hang out with them. They were the desirable population in corporate America and in the job world. Now, what happened was in 2008 and 2009, when we went through the recession, and companies were just reducing headcount by the droves, what happened was when companies started to rehire at the same time, it was sort of like a perfect storm. And around that time, millennials were graduating college and entering the workforce. So companies were starting to bring people back into their companies in a very selective way. Those companies that survived, they were starting to bring folks back into their organizations. But they were doing it with sort of an eyedropper. They were bringing fewer people in. They kept on certain people in their organizations and required them to cover more area of responsibility without more pay. So people very often were absorbing 1 or 2 extra jobs into their own job descriptions. They remained in the companies that had been downsizing employees. And when those companies started to hire again, they started to hire younger talent. Why? Because they were cheaper. Were they able to hit the ground running? No. But the companies required the already existing talent and leaders to train younger people, bringing them in more cheaply, training them their way, and absorbing the downside of hiring younger, inexperienced talent in favor of profit. That's all it really was. It was about filling their coffers again. And it worked. It really worked. It allowed companies to have just a bare minimum of headcount, increase their profits. They realized they didn't, and what they learned was, hey, we don't need as many people. We can push people to do more work for the same amount of money and bring in cheaper talent. So it was a perfect storm. Unfortunately, what happened was at the same time, a huge portion of the population, the late baby boomers, they started to come of age. They were now, and late Gen Xers were starting to come of age. People who were in their mid 40s and into their 50s and even early 60s, they were starting to experience the effects of the recession as things were starting to turn around. So they had been laid off, and now trying to enter the job market again was extremely difficult when they were competing against 22, 23, 24-year-olds who were really cheap, who were trainable, and also had the technology experience. So it was like a really perfect storm against people who were in their more advanced years. And as ageism started to really take root in corporate America and in the business world, people really had two choices. They had the choice of either, they ran through a lot of their savings. Some of them decided to start their own businesses, but it's a tough transition for those people when you have never been in that experience, in that kind of environment before. It's very doable. I was one of those people. I made the transition into entrepreneurship, and also ageism started to affect people who were younger than 50. It was starting to happen for people in their mid to late 40s. So we had a real dilemma on our hands, right? So what happens at the same time? Companies, when they started doing hiring, they started using technological resources for the resume review process. There were all of these keyword processes when you were submitting resumes. Everything was done online. It was all digital. A lot of these experienced folks over the age of 50 had never worked with any kind of this level of digital input before, and they were really behind the 8 ball. If you're one of those folks, you're not alone, and I completely understand where you're coming from. It actually was very fortunate that I started my business when I did, because I started to become pretty techie at the right time, and I caught up. But for many folks, they never had to, and now they were caught behind the 8 ball. Now here's the thing. First of all, I want you to know that even though companies don't value the kind of experience and expertise and work ethic and knowledge and brilliance that you have, it's not about you. It's not personal. It's just really the way their biases were formed. And I know that doesn't make it any less painful. The truth is, we could say that ageism is illegal. It is. We could say ageism is ethically wrong. It absolutely is. And it is very difficult to overcome. You can't prove it very often, although I have heard some hair-raising, hair-curling stories of people going into interviews and very, very ignorant interviewers are saying really stupid things in interviews that could get them in a lot of legal hot water, but nobody's recording anything and you can't prove anything, and it costs a lot of money to litigate. So what happens is employers get away with this, and the emotional trauma for people in their 50s and early 60s, and now even in their late 40s, it's pretty painful. But it's not hopeless. So first of all, I'm not saying that you shouldn't continue a traditional job search if that's what really feels right for you. However, I do want you to consider a couple of other options. The first thing is the traditional resume submission route is a very painful, it's not very time effective. There are better ways, in my opinion, if you're in the population of folks that are over the age of 45. There are better ways for you to get noticed and recognized and to receive the kind of engagement that you deserve. So I really believe that you really need to have your resume reviewed and written by somebody who has experience and knowledge about how to position you in your best light when you're over the age, when you're in that bracket, in the more advanced year bracket. It's still not a perfect situation, and your LinkedIn profile absolutely must be upgraded in such a way that you're going to be found by the right eyeballs. And I've done other videos on this about how to really get your LinkedIn profile recognized by the right people, so I'm going to tag that in today's video. So you'll see that coming up, and be on the lookout for it and click on it and watch that. That being said, if you submit your resume through the traditional digital, search the traditional job banks, it's a very laborious process, and very often you're going to fall into the black hole. And even if your resume is selected because you have the exact right skill sets to fit the profile of the jobs being searched for, or recruiters are searching for, even if that's all perfectly in alignment, when they get you on video or when they see you in person and they see that you're a person of more advanced years, their biases are going to kick in anyway if they are there. I'm not saying every company has them and not every interviewer has them, but it is a very, very common situation. So it's going to be found at some point, and I want you to know that it's not personal about you. It's a complete mindset and a bias that is so prevalent in our society today. So what can you do about it? I have two main solutions that I believe strongly in, and one is starting to work on building your network with the right people and start to build relationships with decision makers that will start to appreciate you for who you are and not for your numbers of years, not for the way you look, not for the way the way you appear. When you start to have conversations with decision makers and you're able to engage with them on a really level playing field, you're going to start to earn the what I call the know, like, and trust factor a lot more readily. So your networking skills have got to be escalated and elevated, and they have to be very strategic and very targeted. And then you can start to develop a relationship with the right people, and they can start to see you with in a more personal light. They can appreciate your value differently. They start to feel, when they resonate with you, they can feel your energy, they can feel your vitality. And you can be learning how to express your vitality and your smarts, and even upgrade your technical know-how in your conversations with decision makers through your networking. So your networking skills have got to be really, really elevated. And in light of that, now you can start, when people start to appreciate you for who you are, and they start to get a sense of you, and they experience your energy and your vitality personally, they're better able to recommend you for jobs that they hear about, or even consider you for jobs within their own organization. So that's a really, really crucial set of skills to be upgrading and really paying attention to. Now I've written a book on targeted networking. I'm going to post the link to that. There's an ebook version of it. So I teach people a lot about how to meet the right people and about how to have the right conversations with the right people. So there's a lot of great information on there, but I also have some great information on my website about networking tips and tools and all of that. And I'm going to post all of those links in the comment box below. So number one skill set is to really, really, really elevate your networking activity one-to-one and get in the right groups on LinkedIn and start to have direct conversations with the right people. Get them to get to know you personally and get a sense of you and elevate their experience of you, so that now you're not just a resume, you're not just a LinkedIn profile to them. You're a real person with real value and real expertise and benefit and outcomes to bring to them and to the people that they recommend to you. That's number one. Number two, I think a really great strategy is to start to put together a plan and implement it to get to work on getting contract project assignments. Become a consultant as a stepping stone to getting full-time employment. Now, I know that that's sometimes equally as challenging as getting a full-time job, because many companies are actually treating jobs as consulting contract work today. But there are ways of doing this where you can really identify your key skill sets and outcomes that you can help the right industries, the right niche markets achieve on a short-term basis and get in the door, even if it's on a short-term basis, so that companies can get a chance to know you and experience you. One, you're able to get some income in the door, and two, you're starting to build relationships with people in the company, and that's a great opportunity for you to do internal networking, to get the decision makers to get to know you, to show your expertise, and very often they can be conduits for actual, new jobs in that company, or recommendations to other companies that leaders will want to recommend you for. Plus, it might even be you decide that you want to be self-employed and you want to expand your entire career path on a consulting or on a project basis. Lots of different opportunities to do that. Now, the arenas that you can be doing contract work in can be project management, training, coaching, so many different kinds of project completion, strategic plan implementation, mentorship, lots of different things, presentation skill, all kinds of different consulting projects that you can be doing. Sometimes, in fact, I have known people who have gone in to do contract work on finance management, accounting work, legal project management, paralegal work, and they've wound up creating entire businesses out of it, agency businesses, and they've started to expand that way. Bookkeeping businesses have started this way. So there are a lot of different opportunities for you. I want you to realize that sometimes the more traditional route, a lot of times people are going to tell you that looking for your next job is a full-time job. In today's world, especially if you are dealing with the biases, the ageism biases, it very well may be a better pathway for you to go the individual networking route, targeted networking, meeting the right decision makers, building those relationships, getting people to know you, getting them to know you, like you, and trust you, recommend you, and maybe even bring you on board is one strategy. And their second strategy is to really start to put together a plan and an implementation process for getting contract or consulting work. Now, I've given you two main directions to approach. You may decide that you need a little more personal input on that, and for you guys, I'm really going to provide a link for you to do a complimentary career path consult with me to see what kind of a roadmap you might need. It's free. I usually work with people for up to 45 minutes, and then I'll give you some really good guidance and show you exactly what you will need in order to implement these two strategies. And I do this because I'm very, very committed to helping people, especially who are dealing with the impact of ageism. It's unfair, it's illegal, it's wrong, unethical, and I personally have experienced overcoming it, and I've helped hundreds of people overcome the impacts of ageism by creating completely new career paths for themselves. All right, you guys, I hope you've gotten value out of today's session. So if you like what you have heard today in today's video, please hit the subscribe button and the bell so that you'll know when I release a new video every single Tuesday. And I would love to hear from you what your questions about ageism are, or about any other area of career change, career transition, career search. I'm really here for you. It is my mission I've changed my mission, since my corporate life. I now am completely committed to helping executives and professionals create careers that they are doing what they love, prosperous careers, doing what you love. It's not just a nice dream. It really is it's a probability for you if you really change your mindset around it and if you implement the right tools. So I really believe that the psychology of all of this, plus the right strategy for you, is the career path to success. All right, you guys. Thanks for being with me today. Share your questions in the comment box below. I'll see you next week, and I'm really appreciating that all of you are sticking with me and subscribing and sharing your questions and comments with me. See you next time. All right, bye-bye.